Hi, it's James Robotham. I'm the category manager at QBS for SolarWinds. I'm joined on this webcast by Sascha Giese, who's one of the head geeks at SolarWinds, and Bill Fitzpatrick, who is the CEO of Loop1, the sort of global #1 delivery partner for SolarWinds. Today, we wanted to talk to you about how SolarWinds can complement your existing SolarWinds Cisco offerings. We're looking at a particular play within the Network Configuration Manager, where this is looking at end of life and potentially end of sale options, and we can see how SolarWinds can highlight this, allowing you to then have discussions with customers and your partners to see if there is a potential to try and look at a Cisco play and get more business within your Cisco opportunities. We're also looking at potentially vulnerability scanning, which obviously is predominant with the security aspects, and also, wherever security is, we need to make sure that we are doing our utmost to make sure that all these vulnerabilities are patched. So I wanted to introduce Sascha and Bill, as I have, and I think we're going to go in and have a conversation and show you a demo of how NCM can work with you.
All right. So NCM is actually one of my favorite tools. So I could probably talk for 3 days, but we don't have that much time. So we're limited to like a couple of features. So I think the first one was like end of life and end of support, which is in the product for like 8 years or so. Bill, you probably were still a SolarWinds employee back then, right?
Just about, yeah. It's interesting when you talk about some of the capabilities of NCM. We always hear people know that, yes, I have NCM, I use it to back up my devices, it's great. But it doesn't need to be the end of the conversation. There's so many other things that the product can do, and I think this end of life, end of support is a great example.
It's pretty cool. So it's actually for many organizations, you might have like tons of devices, and you might have your own contracts. There's actually a tool to merge your contract information with the Network Configuration Manager, but that's a bit out of scope for today. But basically, it's a community-driven feature that looks at your inventory and will suggest dates based on end of support and end of sale. End of sale is the other one, but that's not so important, I guess, right? And I think out of the box, we support obviously the big guys like Cisco and Juniper, but we are open for other vendors too.
So why don't we take a quick look at what this actually looks like in the console? Because a lot of times we have, again, folks that know that this is something they have deployed in their environment. They know that they've got NCM, but they may not know that this feature exists. Mm-hmm. So there's a resource, and I don't know that all resellers out there are aware of this resource, but SolarWinds makes available a website. It's called oriondemo.solarwinds.com, where you can go and you can see all of the additional functionality in tools like NCM, including this resource here in the center of the screen that shows us our end of support and end of life devices.
Okay, so there's basically we could work with that small box which we see there, and we get a little bit more information if we click on device or click on view details. But also, why not make life a little bit easier? What we also can do is look at the out-of-the-box reports, and I think there's like 5 or 6 reports for this topic, and you could actually automate such a report and keep it running each month. End of life, yeah, that should give us C, and that is when you want to show something, it doesn't work. There you go. There you go. So that's basically an out-of-the-box report, right? It's very functional. You can change them with a mouse click. If we click Edit Report, you can bring in your company logo or the logos of your customer, whatever, customize the report, automate it, have it sent to you once a month or maybe once a quarter, whatever's the business case over there.
Yeah, so it's a pretty easy feature to use, right? Like you said a moment ago, it's native, it's built in, it doesn't require a lot of effort. There can be, in some cases, a couple of steps to take here where you can, if it's a really old device, you'll see here messages about suggested dates found, as opposed to the newer devices where you're going to see specific dates that are more easily detected and confirmed. But for a partner to work with an end user to help them manage their Cisco estate, it's a really convenient way for them to stay ahead of potential problems when something is reached that end of life, end of support state, especially if they had a failure, right? Nobody wants to be shopping around for used equipment to be able to do a swap out on something that fails, if they can be planning ahead and putting in equipment that's designed to be able to go in new and replace aged equipment.
Yep, and I think it's a natural step if we move on to vulnerability management, which is on a basic level similar technology in the background. We have it. Oh yes, we have it over there. So we have the chart box. We can click on individual elements. So what's going to happen here? If you look at the URL, that is a public website. It's NIST from. Can we quickly click on one of them? So we will see that this is not just information that we made up. It's really everything is sorted over there, and each vendor with a known vulnerability is supposed to publish it at some point, and we talk to that database.
Yeah, it's a really convenient way to be able to have, first and foremost, awareness that there are vulnerabilities in your environment, and then have some disposition against that. You'll notice that the interface here gives our end users the ability to start to work on resolution for those vulnerabilities. And so again, I think from a partner perspective, if you're a Cisco reseller, this is a great way to work with your clients and help them understand where vulnerabilities exist. And Sascha, as we know, this is a time where we can't ignore vulnerabilities anymore. I think for a long time, Cisco vulnerabilities have gone unaddressed, but that's not okay anymore.
No, that's not okay. I mean, apparently everyone will be hit by a security incident. But it's you always have to find ways to mitigate the impact, and keeping stuff up to date is one of the most important elements of staying secure. And actually, I think we do have a feature for that too in the product within NCM, because obviously you want to update your firmwares.
Yeah, and so one of the other sort of lesser known features, but absolutely valuable for partners to be working with their clients and for clients to be able to manage upgrades in their environment, is our firmware upgrade operations capability within NCM. And it's actually very slick. If you go in and build a new project, it explains in great detail exactly how this is going to work, right? And I think most Cisco engineers are going to recognize this. They know they've got to go out into their environment and go through all the trouble of finding the things, understanding how much storage they have, understanding which firmware binaries are on the systems or not. There's that entire collection process. Then there's understanding what's my upgrade mechanism going to be, what's the process going to be for different devices. And then I still have to go back and run those actual upgrades. And so, Sascha, I think this makes it a much more automated and much easier process using NCM.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, upgrading firmware is no rocket science, all right? But it's been a while that I did this for a Cisco device. I think it's like 15-ish different steps, and you named a couple of those. One would be to verify the checksum, for example. Is it the right file? You mentioned space already, which is causing most of the headache because folks don't check the available space to copy the new file, okay? So, and here this is pretty much an automated process. We do all those steps, and we actually test them before we roll it out. And if something goes wrong for whatever reason, we have a rollback feature too. So we actually create a copy of the previous firmware and could downgrade the router or switch or whatever it is in case of unexpected elements happening.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty powerful feature in terms of, like you said, just automating those steps that are normally very time intensive, leveraging a lot of what's built into NCM to begin with, and making it easier to keep devices on current and remediated versions of the necessary firmware. So yeah, I think that's really kind of what we wanted to do today, is just talk a little bit about what are the additional capabilities within a tool like NCM, which is really commonly deployed across a lot of Cisco environments. It's such a very, very popular tool for doing configuration backups. But again, not everybody knows that it can do these additional things.
It's actually, we see quite frequently that customers might use different vendors, obviously. You know, back in the days, everyone was sticking to one vendor, but today customers buy based on projects, right? And they buy what is available right now, ticks the boxes, and is affordable. So it's quite normal that an organization does have a little bit of Cisco, of Juniper, of HP, of whatever. And one of the strengths of a tool like NCM is that we don't mind what vendor we're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very easy to use vendor agnostic environment, right? So from a network performance perspective, we know SolarWinds has been the industry leader, right? We see that those headlines coming out that from network performance, SolarWinds is the #1 deployed solution out there. And I think close behind that is the network configuration piece. I think there are a lot of clients that own the network performance piece and then also own the network configuration piece. So James, just a couple of ways for clients to be able to get more out of that SolarWinds investment that they may not be aware of. And it's a great opportunity, I think, for Cisco partners and resellers to go, partner with those end users to help educate them and help resolve potential issues around end of life, end of support, potential vulnerabilities, and also the ease of automation. And of course, if anybody runs into trouble trying to do this, there's partners like Loop1 available. If there's an old release that maybe isn't functioning the way that you need it to, we can help you with upgrades. Or if you just want better understanding of how to use these features at scale, then of course Loop1's there to help out.
Brilliant. Oh, I appreciate that, Bill. I mean, and obviously if a customer or a partner hasn't had NCM before and deployed, obviously you can help with that and do the installations that way. But of course, it's very easy to trial. It's very easy to procure. And I believe, obviously, if Cisco partners aren't using NCM, then they're missing a trick. Then, I mean, we know that there is a plethora of Cisco partners, especially in the UK, that are, and you might want to try and differentiate yourself from the crowd. So using NCM may be that area which really highlights to the customer that they know what they're doing, and they can then bring that in to actually enhance their offering and help the customer make sure that they manage their environments.
And there are two ways that SolarWinds will help you as a reseller also educate your teams. There's a SolarWinds Sales Expert certification that can help you learn about these features within the SolarWinds tools from a sales perspective. But then there's also, for your engineers that are doing implementations and working with clients, there's a SolarWinds Certified Professional designation for the Network Configuration Manager product, as well as the Network Performance Monitor product. So there's great ways for you to become educated and become, like you said, James, a way to differentiate your team in the marketplace when it comes to supporting clients in their Cisco estate.
And also keep in mind, NCM is available for standalone or integrated into the Orion platform with other products. So it's totally up to your customer if you want to pitch a bundle with performance monitoring, maybe some infrastructure monitoring and NCM, or just NCM alone. And even if they use maybe a completely different monitoring system, our friends at Loop1 can stitch those stuff together with an API. So they could use NCM and whatever system, it works together.
Yep, well said, Sascha. James?
No, I appreciate it. To be fair, I've been working with SolarWinds for 4 years, and some of the things that you've talked about today, I didn't know about. So it's very eye-opening in the discussion we have and the knowledge that you two hold. No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time today. I hope that the partners will find this useful, and if they need anything, then please contact the QBS representative and we can plug SolarWinds and Loop1 in as and when you need it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.